New breed, global truth.
Sean Diddy Combs is found not guilty on the racketeering conspiracy charge in this federal case. The verdict on the 4 remaining counts are not read yet. Here's another alert. Combs found not guilty in the sex trafficking of his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Here's another one. Combs found, okay, so this is count 2 now. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs found not guilty of sex trafficking. And that applies to the girlfriend who went by the pseudonym as the name Jane. And CB, I'll bring you in. I want to read one more alert here because some of this seems to be a bit of a duplicate as it's coming in. Combs found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution with the former girlfriend who I just mentioned as Jane. So those are 5 quick alerts that just came up on the Reuters wire, and we're awaiting more from inside the courtroom as we speak. Does that line up, CB, with what you have down there at court?
Bill, so what I'm looking at, count 1 through 5, the only count that I see that Diddy has been found guilty of is count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution as it pertains to Diddy's ex-girlfriend and accuser, Cassie Ventura. The other 4 counts I am seeing, excuse me, let me backpedal a little bit, you guys. This is all breaking in. We're dealing with rolling thunder out here. So I'm seeing Diddy has been found guilty on 2 counts. The transportation to engage in prostitution counts, count 3 and count 5, as they pertain to Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, and another former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. What I am seeing right now are guilty verdicts on count 3 and count 5.
So what does this mean? Some of you all are probably wondering. Well, Diddy was found guilty of 2 counts of sex trafficking. Now, all the major charges, he was found innocent, right? Now, since Diddy has time served and he was unable to post bail at the beginning of all of this, more than likely he'll be able to post bail as soon as possible, more than likely before the holidays. I would not be surprised if Diddy walks out of those doors at 1 o'clock. Now, does this mean Diddy will not face any jail time? No. Officially, as of now, he's still found guilty of 2 charges of sex trafficking. Now, could they give him time served? It's a possibility. But seeing as how the feds have a 98% conviction rate, and it seems that they are pretty much being embarrassed on the world stage. I mean, they took a major loss. And then you have the Mann Act in place. More than likely, they're going to try to get him for at least 10 years. But he will post bail. He will be outside. But more than likely, or it's a possibility. I cannot say more than likely in this instance because, ladies and gentlemen, with some of these Illuminati puppets, it ain't no telling what is going to happen. And that's what Diddy is. Diddy is an Illuminati puppet. And I have told y'all at the beginning of this that this whole case is absolutely incredibly ridiculous. A lot of this case is ridiculous, but I'm going to let them finish reading off what took place. And I'm going to show you what I told y'all a month ago. And we can use our critical thinking and figure out, is this the case? Is this justice being served, or is it an Illuminati shield that's been put up, right? Anyway, let's continue.
And I can tell you that prosecutors, when they argued that Diddy transported these women and male escorts across state lines to engage in prostitution, they pulled.
And I stand corrected. He was guilty of transportation of prostitution, right? And that's 2 counts. Just so that I'm clear. More than likely, We just have to see what happens when he actually is sentencing is done, right? But let's go.
Pulled up a slew of flight and bank records, going line by line, in some cases to jurors, pointing out hotel stays, links of hotel stays. They also called in law enforcement investigators as summary witnesses to explain these lengthy, extensive records that they had pulled in this case. I think it's very interesting that these are the charges that these are the only charges that jurors found Sean Diddy Combs guilty of: transportation to engage in prostitution. And also, to argue these charges, prosecutors called male escorts to the witness stand who testified about how Diddy paid them, in some cases, hundreds to thousands of dollars to have sex with Cassie and him. And at this point, right now, we can see from this verdict sheet that Diddy has been found guilty on count 3 and count 5. He has been found not guilty on the most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy. He's been found not guilty on count 2 and count 4. Those are the sex trafficking counts. The only counts he has been found guilty of are the transportation to engage in prostitution.
Okay, yeah, I stand it corrected. It's not sex trafficking he's found guilty of. It's prostitution, transferal of prostitutes. And we'll see what the max sentence is for that. Maybe he gets nothing, maybe he gets time served. But this points to a bigger picture. This points to a bigger picture. Now, we have the feds who have a 98% conviction rate, who seem to have failed with a high-profile celebrity, and that points to foul play, no matter how you look at it. If it points to foul play, and, I said this a month ago, and I want to share the video in which I said some very key points. Now, this video is called "The Diddy Trial is a Sick Humiliation Ritual Orchestrated by the Illuminati. Where is the RICO?" And I'm just going to play a quick part of this video. This was done about a month and a half ago, and it seems to be reigning true at this point.
Why on earth did Diddy get hit with a RICO case? We're still waiting to find that out. How is it a RICO?
Mm-hmm.
Where is his co-conspirators?
Yep.
How is he hit with a RICO? Secondly, the media, along with the powers that be, the sacred society, the Illuminati, the Boule, the secret society is hiding all the other celebrities who are involved in the freak-offs. No other names are being implemented. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when this whole Diddy trial first started, we all seen the feds go to Diddy house and they came out with tapes. They came out with boxes. They came out with all this evidence. And we haven't seen any of those names brought up on those tapes. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassie wasn't the only one involved in the freak-offs.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about politicians, actors, A-list celebrities were involved with the freak-offs.
Diddy just got spanked and put back in place. Diddy is part of the secret society. Diddy was practicing Thelema sex magic. He was doing exactly what the other celebrities have been doing, right? But Diddy went against those who fed him. He bit the hand that fed him when he went against that liquor company. And he got too big for his britches and tried to rise up against them, right? They spanked him. It was a humiliation ritual, 100%. I'm sure of this at this point. Now, Diddy is an evil person. And it seems that they used people who were involved with Diddy, meaning they were in agreement with Diddy. They got humiliated too, but Diddy got it worse. But those who are in the shadows, those who were at these parties, they were hidden. Now, this video that I did a couple months ago was right. I mean, it was right on point. Listen.
But none of these names are being brought up. They're not unveiling or uncovering the sex ring that they had going on. No information about all these celebrities is coming to fruition.
Yep.
Why is that? Because it's simply a humiliation ritual.
Yep.
It should be evident at this point.
Yep. And those words seem to ring true. Now, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions that we have to ask. For one, you know, why didn't any of the kidnapping charges, the fact that he tried to blow up Kid Cudi's vehicle and all of this, why none of these things, the badgering of witnesses, you know, the tampering of evidence, why none of this actually stuck? Why none of that held up in court? Why none of that held up in court? And how was he charged with racketeering to begin with? I've never seen one person enter a courtroom charged with racketeering. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, this stuff is made for TV. Us, the general public, had absolutely no access to the courtroom or the jurors or anything. It was made for TV. Diddy was getting spanked. They was carrying out this ritual on the public. Meanwhile, they already knew what they were going to do. They already knew what they were going to do, straight up.
And I want to say that comes with a possible prison sentence of 10 years in prison. Of course, we're dealing with breaking news, so a lot of information is coming in.
So that charge does have a possible 10-year sentence. But, you know, Diddy's defense can argue that they ruined his career, you know, the racketeering charge, you know, he served time, he lost a lot of money, he'd probably get house arrest. He probably will get house arrest. You know, it does carry a 10-year sentence. It really does. But guess what? That's Diddy's first charge. I mean, the defense has a good case to get that thrown out straight up once they do sentencing, right? Let's go.
And we're working to learn more. But there is a crowd gathered here outside the courtroom. I'm not sure who is among this crowd, but Bill and Dana, I know you've been watching the trial closely, and you know there are a slew of Diddy supporters out here who have come every single day. It looks like.
Why is there so many Diddy supporters? Because a lot of these people, they on that Diddy time. That's why. I mean, think about what this freak was doing. Diddy was getting male escorts to ejaculate on women and then rub the specimen on his nipples. Diddy was paying male escorts to smash his women so he can sit back and watch. Why does he have so many fanboys? Look at this big group fanboy right here with the Nautica shirt. And this points to a real issue that we have in society with these weirdos that's walking the streets who actually fanning after Diddy. It shows you just how sexually deviant a lot of these on the low ass men are. It shows you how weird they are. They're weirdos. And it's grown men fanning for Diddy. They happy that Diddy's free. Listen, I can care less. He's just an Illuminati puppet that was raised since a baby to carry out what he carries out. Now, of course, I believe, you know, of course, there's people over Diddy that does worse. But nonetheless, look, ain't nobody with a sane mind want to see this guy back in the streets, just to be clear with you, because this is the man who ruined several rap careers. According to Keefe D, attached to the Tupac murder. I mean, Diddy has a track record of being shrewd, callous, and just ruining lives. And then you got to think about, what's the one sister that used to be with Al B. Shore that just died mysteriously? You know how many people died mysteriously around Diddy? Or the fact that Shine took a charge for Diddy when Diddy wanted to wild out in the club and shot the lady in the face. Nobody wants to see this animal back out in the streets. Yeah, Kim Porter. So, maybe justice gets served and he does at least 10 years. But we doubt that. We highly doubt that. We highly doubt that. Now, we can't believe everything we see. We know the media has their hands in all of this, right? Let's go.
What appears to be one of Diddy's supporters is out here in front of the courthouse explaining to cameras perhaps why he believes his someone he supports was vindicated of the most serious charge, racketeering conspiracy. There are hundreds of cameras and we're waiting to get.
There's going to be a lot of people going into hiding because Diddy back outside. This is like Jason Voorhees right here. This is like Michael Myers on Halloween. You hear me? Hey, the Diddler, he will have his Diddler suit on because American society and the judicial system, the whole court system just showed us that they failures. And the villains are outside. The villain is outside. You know how many people, Gene Deal, what was that one guy, one podcast, so many podcasters, so many people who had something to say about Diddy, not understanding that he's protected. He's protected. And a lot of these people put a target on their backs. And it ain't going to go too well for them. Straight like that.
Some more color from inside the courtroom.
You got it.
But we know that jurors came back with this ultimatum today.
CB, I'll let you go for the moment so you can gather some more news down there. I just want to repeat the main headline, and that is this: Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The racketeering is the most serious charge. That was count one. That would have put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Not guilty on that charge. So to recap, of the 5 counts, 3 not guilty, Dana, and 2 guilty in Manhattan Federal Court, New York City.
Right. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox.
Yeah, Diddy will be outside in a couple hours. And then, listen, I want to say this as well. You just got to look at what they did during this trial that raised a lot of red flags. The fact that they had the jurors looking at Diddy's corn tapes. Now, I want y'all to just think about that. What evidence were they searching for? Having the jurors sit back and watch Diddy's personal freak tapes. What is that? What is that, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I want you to consider that it shouldn't have been even admissible in court. Why? Because the defense, the prosecution, as well as the lawyers should have been able to go over that quote unquote evidence to see if it should even be used in court. Why are they sitting back watching Diddy's freak tapes in the courtroom? Because this is a humiliation ritual. Cassie comes up there just as pregnant, and they trying to free Diddy right before what, ladies and gentlemen? Independence Day. Right before Independence Day, he walks free. Why is that? It's a ritual. They had the time in the whole time. And we can go right back to my video that I did a couple months ago. I mean, listen.
It should be evident at this point that what we're looking at is Diddy is being put back in his place. And the only thing Diddy is really guilty of is domestic abuse. And also paying for prostitutes.
And that's what I said months ago. He's guilty of domestic abuse, which he already paid Cassie, and getting prostitutes. How was I able to say this at the beginning of the trial? And now we see that the outcome is exactly what I said months ago. How was I able to say this? Because listen, the Most High blessed me with the eyes to see. I can clearly see that this is just a humiliation ritual from the beginning. Now, of course, those are the charges that were levied against him, but he's guilty of a whole lot more than that, if you ask me. Meaning there's things that we don't quite know that go on in the industry that Diddy is very, very involved with. And so is the rest of the celebrities. We just got another Mason that was, brung through his ritual.
Soliciting men.
Yep.
He's responsible for soliciting men and domestic abuse. Now, look, the media is blinded. I want y'all to understand there's a conspiracy right now to keep everybody asleep.
Yep.
Brothers and sisters, everybody is asleep. Everybody is docile.
The whole Diddy trial was a distraction. It was all a distraction. Now, imagine if once this video I put out months ago, if people would have took heed, guess what? They would already knew the outcome months ago. It would have been time to move on and do other material, speak about more important matters that's going on in society. It would have been a time to really speak in regards to things that's really taking place that affect the American citizens. The Diddy trial was a distraction. And I told y'all that I wasn't going to cover it. After I made these videos, I made 2 videos about the trial. After that, I said, I'm not covering it until the verdict is read. Why? So I can validate. So all my words can be validated. And also, so you all can understand that it's a game that's always being played in the media. And when you can see it, you can see it. Let's go.
Nobody's comprehending what's going on. There's so much happening right now.
Yep.
There's a whole civil war ready to break free. The prices on the shelves.
Now, I said there was a whole civil war ready to break free. Now, mind you, this is before, man, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is all before the immigrant riots started. This is all before all the major cities was up in the uproar. This is all before you seen the riots, the King's riots, as well as the immigrant uprising riots. This is before that. Again, when I make my material, I'm not just talking. I'm not just talking. But we were being distracted. We were being distracted with Diddy. Let's go.
The skyrocketing. The truckers are being laid off.
Yep.
Jobs are being cut. Homelessness is skyrocketing.
But we was worried about Diddy.
Subsidized living in Section 8 is being cut off. You got all these things going on in the world, but they got people worried about who Diddy peeing on, who he's peeing on.
Yep.
Now, first of all, listen.
Yep.
Who didn't know that Diddy was a freak body old head? Who didn't know that? Who did not know that Diddy was out here, extra zesty out here?
Everybody knew. And that's all I got to show on that. Now, I'm going to see if they're going to let Diddy post bail, which I believe they are. I give it a couple hours. You'll see Diddy back at his mansion doing what he do, right? So the verdict is in. The verdict is in, y'all, in case you just joined me. And I want y'all to do me a solid. Double tap the no, you don't have to double tap. Just hit the like button on this one. Let's get the message out.
Count one, the racketeering conspiracy charge. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, perhaps the most complicated charge for the jury to understand. The count one had provided for.
And this is a fact. The big, beautiful bill will be passed in 2 days while we're distracted with Diddy. That's a fact. All of the timing is around the same time. Right while this big, beautiful bill, which is not real beautiful at all, I already went over that. I did much material about this. All while that's happening, still, they choose to ramp up the Diddy trial. Like clockwork, the media is just playing with the people like clockwork. I'm telling you.
A number of predicate acts, but the jury does not have to get into that because they have found Sean Combs not guilty of leading a criminal enterprise, not guilty of racketeering conspiracy. They will now move to the other 4 counts, 2 of them on sex trafficking and on and we have not guilty now on count 2, which was sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of sex trafficking when it comes to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. There was a real debate that the jury heard over the course of the last 2 months about consent and coercion and the complications of deciding.
So he got found not guilty of that because really it was no substantial evidence. Now, the issue with that was Cassie there was a plane, right? Basically, they were taking a flight from one place going back to New York, and allegedly Diddy showed Cassie a video of her engaging in a freak off and said, "Look, if you don't engage in this freak off when we land in New York, I'm gonna show this video to your mother. I'm gonna show this video to the public. I'm gonna release it," which would be considered sex trafficking or coercion, right? Because they're going from one place to the next, and he's pretty much coercing her to be involved. But she was not able to prove that because she had no proof, right? So that's why he wasn't found guilty of sex trafficking Cassie. All right, just for the record. All right, let's continue.
When an 11-year relationship between Combs and Cassie Ventura may have become a criminal one, and the jury decided it was not criminal sex trafficking when Sean Combs committed what his attorneys freely admitted was domestic abuse, as you saw in that video. He has been found not guilty now on racketeering conspiracy, not guilty on sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. He has been found guilty on count 3, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. He has also been found guilty on count 5, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. These charges carry a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in prison. So we do have a split verdict.
They carry up a sentence up to 10 years. This is Diddy's first. This is his first case, his first, charge or whatever. He's gonna beat that. We're talking about grown men who went from one state to the next to do freak offs. So yeah, I mean, this is crazy. The whole system is broke. What about all the other celebrities that's involved? What about why Ali Carter wasn't invited to testify? Why? Because that would have shook the Illuminati hornet's nest. The Illuminati hornet's nest would have been shooken if you would have really got the real victims. The real victims, the jits. Because listen, the industry is one big ring. One big ring. And this just infuriates the righteous because we know how wicked the industry is. All they gave us was surface level distraction with Diddy. And they have desensitized the public into accepting freakism. That's what they did. That's why you got these down low sugary men who really riding with Diddy. These down low weirdos who really riding with Diddy, fanboying over Diddy. They happy Diddy free. You know why? Because they believe that Diddy is a representation of us. They believe Diddy represents us. That's why we need an image that's why we need the image reclamation movement. Because Diddy don't represent us. He was bred and raised by the Illuminati. Whatever they did to him, his soul is gone. They used him, put him in front of us to do what? Push an agenda, just like they do all these other celebrities. Listen, this guy don't represent us. And I'm not saying I want to see any brother in prison or whatever the case is, but he ain't one of us. He's a product of Clive Davis. Diddy is a monster. And all those people who had a lot to say about him, he's going to be right back on them. He's going to be right back on their heels. Because he's protected by the Illuminati. But you know, our people, they want barbarous. They want barbarous. Why? Because there's a lot of people who have a black degeneracy kink. That's the truth. A black degeneracy kink. People love it. The whole world is watching. The whole world's interested in Diddy's sexual proclivities. Listen, the Greeks and Romans produced this. He's a product of the Greeks and Romans. They the ones who invented the orgy. They the ones who invented the freak parties in Thelema and all of that. He's just a product of them. Let's go.
Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, not guilty of sex trafficking Cassandra Ventura, but he has been found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And we're waiting for one more count, the sex trafficking of Jane. And just now the jury has decided that...
America's turning into Sodom and Gomorrah. It's turning into Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's how I know the Most High going to judge this wicked ass land. And listen, let me go ahead and foreshadow what's going to happen next for y'all. Y'all going to see a whole bunch of Diddy memes of black people making a joke about this. Oh, Diddy outside, and you're going to see different memes and clips, and they're going to make it real funny, hysterical, right? Well, I want y'all to, when y'all making these videos, right, I want you to truly think about the real victims of the industry. I want you to think about the real victims. While it's a joke to y'all, while it's a joke and it's he and funny because Diddy back outside and y'all celebrating and y'all cheering, I want you to think about the real victims. Matter of fact, let me see if I got this real quick. Let me just check real quick. Let me see. Is this the one? Ain't it? Oh, here you go. I want y'all to look at this real quick. Think about the real victim.
So you see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's about to be.
Oh, you put that thing on the woo!
So you see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's about.
On the woo!
So you see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's about to be.
Oh, you put that thing on the woo!
So you see how we do it here on Saturday. This is what it's about.
Need I say more?
Sean Combs is not guilty of sex trafficking his former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. So the jury has now believed that the relationships that Sean Combs had with his former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, were not criminal, did not involve sex trafficking. All Sean Combs has been convicted of here is transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And Kira, those did seem to be the most evident crimes that Sean Combs committed. We heard testimony from the male escorts. The jury heard about the cash that they were paid, and as prosecutors told them,
yeah, and that's the thing. That's right, real 80s. If he was up in Vegas buying prostitutes, guess what? We would have no case at all. He will be found innocent of everything. Why? Because prostitution is legal there. Why? Because we in Sodom and Gomorrah. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, and y'all seen that last clip? How excited Jay-Z was to be in that room. Where were those kids' parents at? That's the question. Why was he so excited about Diddy putting together something like that? Where's the music video that they came out with those children in it? Where's the music video where Jay-Z has a bunch of children in it? Because some people say, well, they were casting for something. Hollywood, the industry is sick. It's sick. And Diddy has been heavily involved. Y'all get the likes up on the video. This is some of the most powerful coverage on this that's going on the internet. They don't spread my notifications like that, so y'all got to double tap. They love to play with the numbers and hide real. I'm talking about they hate to hide the real. I mean, they love to hide the real. They hate to let us preach the truth because they, as you can see, a lot of the times I'm 100% right when it comes to these things going on in Hollywood and in the industry. And they don't want a voice of reason on social media. They want a bunch of confusion. They want people to look at Diddy as some type of anti-hero. They want a bunch of man fans who idolize him. Let's look at the possibility of Diddy getting bail today, which I believe he will. He will more than likely post bail around 1 o'clock. If not, he'll definitely be out by tomorrow. Definitely be out by tomorrow.
Perspective now that we know where Sean Combs has been found guilty and non-guilty. Let's put into perspective, Brian, on time he will serve. What are we looking at now with regard to years? Of course, we should point out there will be an appeal. He's got plenty of money to do that. But let's take it from where it stands right now.
Kira, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. I'm not even sure if I would say there would be an appeal, because for Sean Combs and his defense team, this is a massive win. 3 of the counts that had a life sentence possibility are gone. When it comes to transportation to engage in prostitution, the minimum is nothing. There's a theoretical possibility that he walks out on probation. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, but the max is 10 years. Even if you were to take both sentences, and he's not going to get 10 years, they're going to look at his criminal history, mitigating circumstances, aggravating circumstances, and I would assume that he gets somewhere in the middle ground, maybe like 3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years, possible through that sentencing range for each count. Sean Combs
won't get that because it's his first charge. And he has the money to be able to fight that. His defense is going to argue time served already. How long was Diddy in jail? Was it a year or less? I want to say that they came and got him last summer or the end of last summer. I want to say he was in there almost a year. Yeah, he'll get time served. He'll do some house confinement. So he's been in there 8 months. Yeah, he's going to do some house arrest. First charge, he's been humiliated. He lost a lot of money. His defense has a case. It's going to take the most high to judge this guy. And I'm honestly, the whole system need to be judged. Nobody want to talk about the Illuminati no more. Nobody want to talk about the secret society no more. I'm gonna talk about it because it's very evident that some other force is operating. It's very evident that to me that it's somebody else operating. Straight up.
Going to trial where he was facing life and being able to walk out with something under 10 years, well under 10 years possibly, that is a victory. Will he appeal? Sure, that's his right to do so, but I don't see an appeal here. I think you take this as a win. You serve the few years that you may get, and you be happy that you didn't get life. I'm somewhat shocked as to the trafficking for Cassie. I thought that might have been a stronger case for the government. I didn't think that they had the RICO, and I definitely didn't think they had the Jane trafficking. But this is
the feds have a 98% conviction rate. They would if he was going to go to jail for a long time, you know, he would have he would have been found guilty of everything. It's all a theater.
I think it only so many words, and I keep saying it. I think this is a positive result for Sean Combs and his team.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty much all I got to say about this sick Diddy trial. You know, at the end of the day, it was a complete joke. The powers that be definitely are operating. There's something very sick going on with Hollywood and the industry. And at the end of the day, we're not rooting for Diddy. We don't listen. Just because we are for our people don't mean that all of these people who look like us represent us. These people, this is why we need an image reclamation movement, because you got people out here thinking that this is how black men get down as a whole, that black men are alternative like Diddy, that black men enjoy doing what he does, his different escapades and sexual proclivities or whatever the case is. And as a whole, hell no, this ain't what it is. And hey, I seen somebody at the beginning say this is a win for the black man. No, it's not. It's a loss. It's a loss. It's a loss. But nonetheless, man, I just wanted to come through with this quick video. I got more material coming. Make sure y'all turn the post notification bell on so y'all can get this content as it's being uploaded. Y'all be blessed out there. With that being said, shalom and peace.